Hello everybody, Panda here, and today I'm going to be making an intro and showing you guys how to make an intro from scratch. This tutorial is going to be shorter and to the point, and hopefully I'll be able to address things a lot better than I did in the original tutorials that I have on my channel. So yeah, here we are. Finally I have the tutorial. Any music that will be playing in the background of this video is going to be on the bottom left corner, as you can see. And I will link to the original person who made the music, which is MDK. He is phenomenal. It makes some of the best just background music. He makes some of the best epic, like dubsteppy background music. It's just great. It's great. Yeah, like, I don't like dubstep anymore, but MDK's the shit. Alright, so we're going to start this tutorial now. So, you want to create a new composition, and I'm going to do 1080p. And you want to select at least 8 seconds. That's as long as I tend to make my intros. You can make them longer if you want to, but I think at 8 seconds is about the basic normal thing that everyone uses. Alright, so first we're going to create some text in After Effects. So for this instance, I'm going to be using my own name, Pqnda, as you can see. We're going to select the color. I think right now I got a red going on, so we're going to select red. Then you want to pick the font you want. My favorite font of choice right now that I've been using a lot is Monsterrat. So if you do not have an anchor point tool, which I do not, I don't like to use plugins, I don't know why, but you know, I just find it easier just to use After Effects because that's what I'm used to. So there's this little tool right here that's called Pan Behind Anchor Point Tool. You just select the anchor point. You're like, whoa, I can move the anchor point now. You hold Control and you'll get it set in the center. So now when you hit align and you align the text, it's in the center. Look at that. Isn't that nice and fancy? So we're going to right click the text and we're going to hit create shapes from text. We're going to delete the old text file because we don't need that shit no more. So now we're going to go to the text. We're going to hit the contents. We're going to hit stroke. And then we're going to go in stroke and we are going to just bring that up. Gives us a nice little text background. For this text, I'm going to be using a lighter white color. Some people like to use black, but sometimes I use the black stroke. But this time I'm using the white stroke. So you want to go through your text, kind of mess around with the colors a bit on each letter, just to give it a little bit of something else. I like to do this. Not everyone. You don't have to do this. You can just keep it the way it is, just a normal single color. For me, I like doing it just because I feel like it adds a little something extra to the intro. So as you can see, here's our text now. We're like, well, that's some okay text. It's not the best, but it's okay. Yeah, it's alright. So for this tutorial, I'm not going to be doing any kind of text sync. So if you're looking for that, you're going to have to wait for a different tutorial maybe I'll make in the future. But yeah, so we're going to duplicate the outlines of our text. We're going to go into the bottom layer. We're going to hit contents. We're going to go to contents, and then we're going to hit this little drop down menu right here, and we're gonna hit repeater. So as you can see, you're gonna have a bunch of shit there. That's cool. Then we're gonna go into repeater, hit transform repeater, and then we're going to hit on the position. We're going to change the 100% to 0, and then the 0 right here to 1. Change the scale to 99, and then we're gonna up the copies. And as you can see, it gives us a nice little 3D text appearance. And what we're going to do with that as well is we're going to select the whole thing. We're going to hit stroke and just bring down the opacity a bit to where it looks like it's 3D text. And there's your 3D text in After Effects. It's a much more clean looking text than I used to make in my old tutorials, and it just looks so much nicer. This is 3D text in After Effects. Alright, so what we're going to do with this 3D text is we're going to hold Control and hit A. Then we're going to right click, hit Pre-Compose, and you can save this as text. And then there we go. Here's our text. We got the text here. It's looking all fancy. Looks like some text. We're going to hide that text. And now we're going to go on to transitions. So I'm going to show you guys how to make a transition that a lot of you will see in my intros. That is a very common transition that a lot of people like to use. And some people don't know how to make it, so I'm going to show you how to make it. It's that spirally transition that you see in plenty of intros. I'll put some on screen now, one of the intros that I used it in. And yeah, that's what it looks like. It's a nice transition, and I'm going to show you guys how to make that transition because some people don't know how to make it, so I'm going to show you how to make it. We're going to go into effects and presets. We're going to go to the transition tab, hit the radial, get the radial wipe. We're going to put it in the shape layer, and then boom. So now we're going to make that 100%. We're going to hit the stopwatch. We're going to go to about a second in. We're going to go to the stopwatch and make it 50%. You'll see why in a minute. We're going to hit E on our keyboard, open up this menu, and now we have the keyframes. So we're going to hit F9, right click it, hit keyframe velocity, and we're going to change that maybe like a 75 on each of these. Make sure it's confirmed and hit OK. Go in here just to make sure if it looks right. If it looks like this, then it's good. And now when we preview it, it looks like this. Nice and smooth, right? Smooth enough. So now we're gonna go zoom in. If you need to zoom in, you just use this little doohickey right here. You can zoom in, looks nice. So we're going to hit Control and hit D, bring that up 5 seconds. Well, it's 5 milliseconds, but you know, whatever it is. 5 frames, yeah, that's what it is. We're gonna bring it up 5 frames, and then we're gonna hit S to bring up the scale. Bring that up a little. We're going to do the same thing, same process until we have the screen completely filled with red on the left side. Alright, now your timeline should look like this. So if we preview it, it'll have this nice spiral effect, and you're like, whoa, that looks pretty cool, but why is it only covering half? You'll see. So now we're going to bring back up our text color, and we're going to go down, select all of these, hold Shift, grab it and select all the circles. We're going to hit the fill, and then we're going to change the fill to one of the white colors, probably the whitest one here. And then as you can see, it looks like that. So now we're going to take this, hold Shift, select all, hit Control C and Control V, hold Shift, drag it until it goes to this first this one right here. You'll see it just goes to the 5 seconds in if you hold Shift immediately. So then we're gonna hit the fill right here. We're gonna change the fill to a darker color, probably like a black gray color. Hit Control C, Control V, hold Shift, drag it here till it's another 5 seconds in as well. And then we're going to hit fill. We're going to copy one of our colors off of our text, probably the darker color. And then we're going to hit Control C, Control V, hold the Shift again, go here, and then we're going to select the lightest color, which is this red. And then we're going to have a transition that looks a little something like this. As you can see, that looks like a pretty nice transition all on its own. You can spice it up a little bit, which is what I'm going to do. Actually, I'm going to keep it like this because this will look nicer overall with the intro. But what I was going to say is you can hit Shift and select and copy all of them. Go to the 5 seconds in on the last one, drag it, hold Shift, and then it'll make it longer, the transition longer. Oh, by the way, first before you continue, you want to save this shit, because if your After Effects crashes, which After Effects is notorious for that, you're gonna lose all your progress. So as you can see, you can have a transition that looks like this, and it looks nice, clean, and quick, and it looks just beautiful. Actually, I'm gonna keep it like this. It looks nice. That's a nice transition right there. So now we're going to select all of our circles and our radials and all that. We're gonna right click them, and then we're going to name the comp, I don't know, C. Doesn't really matter at this moment. Then we're gonna take C, and we're gonna duplicate it with Control D. Control D. We're gonna hit S on the top layer. We're going to hit the scale. We're gonna type -100, and then we're gonna have this spiral effect. And that is how you make the spiral transition. So yeah, you can work with this and just start off this as your intro if you really want to. So that's what we're going to do with this tutorial. We're going to select both of our layers. We're going to name it a circle transition. And now it looks like this. It looks nice. You don't really have to do anything else. I'm going to do one more thing. So we're going to right click, hit new, shape layer. We're going to go into here, go into contents, and we're going to add a rectangle path. Hit the fill, go into transform, change the rotation to 45. And we're going to drag this all the way until it fills the screen completely. We're going to go to fill. We're going to change the color to a light white, but not all the way white. Go to scale, go to 1 second in, hit the stopwatch, go back, make it 0. Select, hit F9, right click, and hit keyframe velocity. Change this to 75 on each, hit OK. And then we're stuck with something that looks kind of like this. So you're like, well, that looks like stupid. You'll see why. So we're going to drag it up. We're going to go to 1 second in. And then we're going to hit Control D on a couple of these. Probably about 4. That should be good enough. So then on the second shape, we're going to hit the fill. We're going to select the black color. We're going to hit this one. We're going to hit the fill. We're going to select the dark red color. And then this one, we're going to select the bright red color. Actually, we only need 4 of these. So now we're going to drag it to the front just because it's going to be easier to keyframe it. We're going to go, actually it's going to be easier to just set it up. So we're going to go to 5 frames in, drag this one here, hold shift to do it because it's a lot easier. Hold shift there. And then hold shift here. So we'll have, let me make this transition not viewable. So we have this transition right here, which is a quick cube transition. To make it look a little bit smoother, we're actually going to go 10 frames per like cube coming in. And this is just going to make the transition look a lot smoother. So as you can tell, it just looks way better like this. And there we go. Now we have a new transition. We are not going to pre-comp this because we need the extra space for the background when we move on to the sync. So this is good. We got our transition. So now we're going to make that layer visible behind here, and we're going to drag this up till it... Okay, so we're going to go make sure that the circle transition gets to a point where it's getting close to being done, and we're going to add the transition in here. So then these cubes, these rectangles that are like to the side, we'll zoom in and it looks like this. And this is our transition. So to spice up your transitions, here's one thing that some people may not notice. I'm sure they do, but some people might not. So sometimes I like to spice up my transitions, and this is my personal thing. A lot of people do this too, but it's one of my favorite things to do recently, and I think it just adds something to your intros. So you're going to hit Control D on one of the shape layers. We're going to go up here. We're going to make it a little bit brighter. Then we're going to hit the Vanatical Blinds. Now we're going to hit the Vanatical Blinds transition, put it on here, drag it forward a bit, and then drag up the width. And drag this till it's smaller. We're going to make it 90-degree angle, and we're actually going to make this darker than what I was going to do. So, yeah. It's going to add something. So we're going to do it to the first transition as well. Go into here, copy this exact one, put it in this one, and we're going to change this color to a darker color. And as you can tell, it just makes the transition look a lot nicer. Like, that looks like a much nicer transition. Just with those added things. We can actually go in to all of these and add that same thing. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I'll be right back. Alright, so now that I finished that, as you can see, it looks like this. And it just looks nicer. So now that we have our text set up at the pretty much the two, it depends on how the intro works together. Right at this moment, we're ready to implement our nice 3D text. So what we want to do actually real quick is we want to open up our song. So we're going to double click it, and I'm going to pause my background music. So now we're going to go in and find the beat drop. All right, once you find the beat drop, you're going to hit this little thing, and it'll set the in point to the current time, which is the beginning time, the intro of the song. So we're going to add it to here, which is the intro of the song. So then we're going to add it into our comp. We're going to hit L, go in here, and then we're going to make sure that the drop lines up with the beat. So we're going to hit our audio preview key. I believe it is the 0 button on the numpad, but I have a smaller keyboard, so I have a custom shortcut. If you want to know how to do that, you just go into keyboard shortcuts. Normally it's on the 0 numpad for the audio preview, or this button right here to preview the audio. For me, it's K, so I'm going to hit K. Just basically hit whatever button it is that you preview the audio. And make sure that it hits right here at this moment. By the way, we also want to add a keyframe. To do that, it also is a different button. For most people, it is, I believe, here. The layer marker, sorry. Sorry, layer marker. You want to add a layer marker. It is this button on the numpad. For me, it is the slash. So we're going to basically have it set up so that when the transition finishes, we'll have the text zoom in. So while we're at this, before we get anywhere, we're going to start with the sync. This sync is going to be pretty quick and easy to do. So we're going to quickly get this taken care of. So there are different ways of doing this. I like to do it by ear because I feel like it's the easiest and quickest way to do it. Some people might beg to differ on that, but for me, I think it's the quickest way of doing this. So each beat drop where we hear like a significant like thud sound, which it'll be the sync. So we want to add keyframes to where those are at. So for instance, this first one, it's right here. So as you can tell, this song is dun 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 dun. So when we get to those points, you're gonna hear dun dun. This first one's right here. This one's right here. Add a keyframe here. We're gonna add a keyframe here. And I recommend picking a song that you feel like you might be able to sync. If it's like your first time making an intro, pick a song that's easier to do. Alright, so now that you have your keyframe set up, we're ready to start syncing this mother. We're ready to start syncing this ship. So we're going to make the text pop back up. We're going to be like, oh yeah, look at that text. Actually, before we start the sync, we need to make a background. And this is how you make a background. We're going to create a new shape layer. We're going to right click it. We're going to hit pre-compose. And we're going to change the name to BG immediately. I'm going to copy this text to bring it along with me, because we're going to use it as reference for colors. So now we're going to go into here. We're going to select a rectangle or a circle. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to do rectangles with this one. We're going to transform it, make it 45 degrees, and then bring it up some. We're going to make the stroke about 100. That's my favorite. And then we drag this up to about this point. Now we're going to hit the S to bring up the scale. We're going to drag it till no white is visible. We're going to go to the 1 second section. About 1 second in, we're going to go to the beginning and hit 0. So now when we preview it, we got this business going on, and it looks like that, and it looks nice and funky fresh as well. Am I right? Am I right, kiddos? Maybe I shouldn't say kiddos. Anyways, so I'm going to change the color to a little bit of a darker white, not completely bright white, but a little bit of an off-white. And we're going to select it. We're going to hit Control D. We're going to add the vanadical blinds again. I'm going to change the color to a slightly darker gray. We're going to bring the blinds up. We're going to drag it up like this. We're going to do this, and we're going to have it like this. And it's going to look nice. As you can tell, it looks nice. Vanadical blinds are my favorite thing to add to the intros because it just makes the intro look nicer. So now we're going to copy it, paste this one, get rid of the vanadical blinds, change the color to a red color, preferably a slightly darker red, probably this red, since our background is a bright red. And we're going to bring it a little couple frames forward, just enough so where we can see the white. Then we're going to hit Control D, copy that, make the top one darker, go into here, copy this, paste it, and I'm going to change the angle to 90 degrees to switch it up. And as you can tell, we got something that looks like this. And I think that looks nice. So the main thing that a lot of people like to do with shit, one of my favorite things to do actually with the backgrounds is to add a grid wipe instead. Well, actually the main thing that a lot of people like to use is they like to take the vertical blinds. We do that. Then we're going to add a second one in. Change the width to the exact same as the first one and change the transition completion to the same. But then we're going to change it at a 90-degree angle, and then that's going to add us these little squares. So instead of this, we're going to drag this up a bit like this, and then we're going to drag this one a bit like this, and then we're going to have a cubed background on this part instead of just lines. And that's just going to give us a different effect, and I think it looks okay. So now we're going to copy all this. We're going to copy it, hit Shift, select it all, copy, hit Control V, bring it forward a bit, make sure that we have it come forward a little bit so it doesn't interfere with this one, but it zooms in the same way. So now we're going to select the colors. We're going to make this layer a black color for the top layer of this, and then for this I'm going to make it a red, a dark red. As you can see, it adds a little bit of a change to the intro. It's going to make it look a little bit more different, a little bit out there, a little bit just more unique rather than having the same colors on everything. So this is our background we got so far. We're going to delete this text now because we do not need it for reference. So we're going to have it zoom in, and as you can see, this is what the background looks like so far. So you're like, whoa, that's cool, but it ends. Yeah, so we're going to right click, hit adjustment layer. We're going to go to the adjustment layer, type in echo in the search bar in our effects section, add the echo. You just drag it till you see the red, and we're going to drag it to a certain point to where it starts, but it does not clip with our existing one. And as you can see, it looks like this. It adds a few more. On the echoes section, I think 35 tends to be the best one for me, and it should last to the end of the whole intro. So now we're going to hit the preview, and then we'll see it just constantly copy it and paste it. It's an easy background. This is how you make the easy backgrounds. They look spicy, they look nice, and yeah. So it looks like this now. And you think that's too quick, but you'll see when we get to the sync, that's not quick. So we're going to hit Control A, right click, and we're going to change this to the BG. I'm going to change it to background actually, because I already have pre-comp named BG. Save it, preview it again. Make sure you always preview your shit. Also, go to preview and hit cache before playback. That's my favorite thing to do because you don't get any weird slow-mo and stuff. It just pre-renders everything out and it looks nice. So we're going to drag this to a little bit before this one hits in this layer. You'll see why when we get to it. So now we have something that looks like this. As you can see, it looks interesting. You can tell it's not finished yet though. So now I'm going to turn my background music back on, and we are going to start the sync. Finally, I know everyone's waited for this moment. So now we're at the sync. So for the sync, we're going to go to the text. We're going to hit scale. On the stopwatch, we're going to drag it back a bit, and we're going to hit 0. So then it'll look like this. It looks like poo. Don't worry. What we're going to want is a little something called Inertial Bounce, whatever it is. Inertial Bounce, whatever that is. It is an expression. It adds some bouncy to the text. So we're going to hit Alt, select this on the stopwatch, and paste that in. You can get it from the description. I'll have a text document with the Inertial Bounce in there, and also another script that we're going to need for the sync, which the script that is for the sync, I do not remember who made it. I'm going to try my best to find the tutorial that I found it on and link the tutorial, but the script will also be in there as well. It's not a script, it's a expression, but you know. So now that it's in there, when we preview this, we're going to have bouncy text pop in. You're going to be like, whoa, that's cool. I'm going to disable this music real quick. You're going to be like, whoa, that's cool. That looks like an intro now. It's not really an intro, but it's starting to look like an intro. As you can tell, it is. It's starting to form as an intro. And it looks nice. You can be like, oh, this is my intro now. And yeah, you don't have to do anything else. You could just add some music on there. Don't even sync it. And then add an ending transition and you're good. But that's not how we do it in Pqnda Town. Make sure to always save your project, by the way. After Effects is a tricky mother. Just always save your projects. Always, constantly save your projects. I've had projects that I've lost because I forgot to save 5 minutes, and then I lost so much progress. On my gaming video that I released on my gaming channel, plug, check it out. I lost a lot of progress when I was editing that because I had to edit in After Effects and I forgot to save for like 20 minutes. I lost a lot, so I had to re-edit it, and it didn't turn out as good as the original, but it's still okay. So we want to add a drop shadow onto our background here. It just makes it look more distinguished. You just go to here, add it onto the text. So we're going to add it on the text just so I can preview it because I kind of added it while I was talking and forgot what I was doing. So we're going to add it to the text. We're going to make the direction 180. And we're going to drag it down, and as you can see, it looks like this. Then we're going to make the opacity, bring that down a bit till it's visible enough but not super visible, and it looks like this. You can do it to the background as well, and it makes everything look nice and clean and neat. As you can see, it looks like an intro, but we're not done. We are not done, ladies and gentlemen. Next is the sync. So we're going to right click this, we're going to add an adjustment layer, we're going to right click again, and we're going to add a null object. We're going to search for a slider, grab slider control, put that in the null object, go to the adjustment layer, transform, search that up, add transform into the adjustment layer. Now we're going to open up our document that I saved, and at the top you'll see null. You'll see P, S, and R right here. P, S, and R. We're going to copy the top. P is for position. We're going to hit Alt on there to open up the expression menu. Paste that in there. Minimize that. We're going to do the same for scale, which is S. Go here. Hit Alt. Paste it. Add that in. Minimize that. Go to rotation. Copy. Hold Alt. Rotation. Paste that in. And we're good. Now we're gonna, this is how we get shake type sync without having a shake plugin. So we're gonna hit ES shake, by the way, which is a plugin, but we're not using that. So we're gonna hit E, open up slider control, hit the stopwatch. We're gonna go about 3 frames in, and we're going to change it to 1. Now we're going to copy this, go hold shift to scroll to the next frame, and once you hit that next frame, paste. Do this for every single little marker, and you'll have sync that matches up with the music. So now when we play it with the music, you will get to watch this beautifulness. And here is the sync finished. Looks nice, huh? So now I'm going to show you how to sync the background to that as well. We're going to make sure E is still, make sure slider control is still popped open and you can see the keyframes. Then we're going to hit the background. We're going to right click it and we're going to hit time and go to enable time remapping. This will add keyframes that we can mess around with time and make it look nice. So once we hit like a beat drop on a keyframe of a beat drop in the slider control, make sure you have time remap selected, and if you have a keyframe button set up, you can do this way quicker, or you can hit this little keyframe section right here, which will add a keyframe. I personally have a keyframe button set up to my O button. To do that, you just go into here, you go to keyboard shortcuts, and you search up keyframe. And then it says add time remap keyframe. That's not the button. Whatever. It's not this. It's something else, but it's not like popping up properly. Whatever. This one. I guess that is it. Whatever. It adds. You can add a keyframe by hitting the O button. So just add it to whatever button you have it set up for, and then when you select this and you hit your button, it'll add a keyframe. It just makes this process way quicker. You just add it to all these sections right here. Make sure to only add it on to the part where the beat drops. So now we have those done. We're going to select all, hit F9, open up our little graph editor right here, and hit the tilde key, which is that weird squiggly key right next to the 1. Hit that button. It'll make it full screen. We're going to hit this, go to the value graph. Make sure it's on the value graph and not the speed graph, otherwise it's not really easily possible to do this. So now that you have this set up, you're going to click the top one right here, make it go to about here, something like that, like this, I guess. We're going to drag this one, we're going to make it go like a bit like this. Now it looks good. So now we're going to select this actually, and we're going to drag this a little bit like this. This tends to make the ending a little bit less harsh. Sometimes there's better ways to do it, but I like to do it like that. So we're going to hit the tilde key again, minimize everything. So now when we preview this, we should have finish sync with the background syncing to the music. And here is our intro before it's completely finished. Alright, that is our pretty much nearly finished intro. And now I'm going to show you guys how to make some splines. So we're going to right click, and we're going to hit the shape layer. We're going to go into here, we're going to go here, and we're going to select path. Then we're going to go to this, we're going to add a stroke. Then we're going to go to the path. And now for the path, we're just going to make this random as shit. Just make super random squiggles with your path. It doesn't have to be amazing looking, it just has to be squiggly and look cool. So now just make it squiggle around the screen and then end at the other side. So now we're going to go to the stroke, we're going to bring that up a bit, and then we're going to hit this button right here to fit it to screen so we can see stuff again. So now you got something that looks like this. We're going to go right here, hit trim paths, go to this, bring it to 0. Now we're going to select these two, we're going to drag this all the way back like this, and then we're going to make some keyframes to 100%. We're going to grab it, make it go all the way over here, select them, hit F9, right click, keyframe velocity, 75, 75, okay. And now you're going to end up with something that looks like this. Yeah, it looks like this. It's some niceness. So now we're gonna hit Control D, drag it a bit, change the stroke color to a dark color in the screen. Control D, drag it forward more, copy a red color, make it a little bit more noticeable, and then copy the white, drag it here, and then that's pretty much the stroke. It's not that complex. You just got a stroke coming through. I think I'm gonna actually drag it a little bit more like this. That looks okay, maybe. I'm gonna drag it a little bit further, something like that, maybe. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's your personal preference. Select all the splines, pre-comp them. I forgot to name them. Oh well. Hit Control D. Make it scale -100. You got something like this that looks spicy. Now we're gonna select both of them, pre-comp them, name them Splines, and we're going to hit Control D, drag it forward, make sure we drag it completely forward. When it looks like the splines are about to end on the comp, we're going to drag it until we see the splines that we copied start coming in. So about there. We're going to select both of those, hit pre-comp, name it final splines, I don't know. And then we're going to right click them, we're going to hit time and time remapping. Then we're going to go open up the null. Actually, we're going to just open up the background time remap. We're just going to do the same thing like we did for... We're going to do the same exact thing like we did for the background. Just do the same thing. And then we're going to end up with something like this. And that's the intro. Yeah, you created an intro. Print comp that shit. So now you got an intro, which looks pretty nice if I'm honest. It's very basic, but it's an intro. Nonetheless, you made an intro. Congratulations. You're really good at this. You get a gold star. Actually, we're going to select the text to make sure this is on the toggle switches option and add some motion blur onto your text, just because it'll make the text look nicer when it zooms in and all that. And we got nice text. So we're going to right click this. We're going to add a gradient overlay. We're going to go into the gradient overlay. We're going to make the angle -90%. We're going to add it a hard light. And we're going to drag this to about a 15%. And then it just makes it look nicer. So we're going to right click, create an adjustment layer, go to here, go to glow, search for glow, add that onto our adjustment layer, drag the glow radius up a bunch just till it gets to a certain point. Make the glow intensity 0.2. Go to the first section where you're going to have sync, go 3 frames forward, and just drag it up until a point that you think is good enough. You don't want it to be super glowy, but you want it to have something happening. So that looks good. We're gonna hit E, go into here, copy this, paste it on each beat drop, and make sure it fades out the glow at the end. So then we're gonna hit the T on this. We're gonna, it's just for opacity, hit the stopwatch, go to a point right before the, like right after the background is completely covered in your transition. You don't want any black showing through, which if you hit this button will be transparent. Make sure it's not visible at all and make it 0. So then we go here. So now if we do the transition, it won't have a glow coming off of it when the transparency is showing through. So now we're going to have a glow effect on that. We're going to right click, add a new adjustment layer, type vignette, whatever, add that in, drag it forward a bit, drag this one forward a bit, mess around with this to your liking. I like to do it about there, make it 35%, and then we're good. Right click, hit shape layer. Sorry if this is going quicker than it was before, but I noticed how long I've been recording for, so I really need to speed this up, because this is going to be a lot of editing, I already feel. Ugh. So you're going to make another rectangle, hit this button to make sure it doesn't do that, and do 1920 by 1080 or 1280 by 720 if you're doing a 720p intro. Just make sure it's a black box that's covering the whole screen. Hit CC Jaws. And then we're going to go to here, go to height, and then make this 80%. Hit the stopwatch. If you're like a little bit in, drag it here, make it 100, hit F9, oops, hit F9, hit keyframe velocity, do 75 on both, and now we got that happening. So now that we got that, hit Control A, pre-comp all that, go to the end after the last keyframe, hit shape layer. We're going to add another shape layer. You can do a rectangle or circle. I'm going to do circle in this case. We're just going to add a fill. We're going to cover it. Make sure we cover the whole screen. Hit S. Make it 0. hit the stopwatch, drag it to the end, make it 100%. Go to here, F9, right click, keyframe velocity. As you can tell from the rest of the video, 75, 75. Hit OK. Now we're going to go, if you don't see this, we're going to be like, oh, look at this. Hit this toggle, make sure we're on this section. Hit this, and we're going to change it to alpha inverted matte shape layer 1. Save it. Hit Control Y, add a green solid, put it underneath. We're done. You've created an intro. Here's a preview. Well, actually, before we preview, we got to go into here, which is the audio. You have to hit L, and then it'll bring up the audio levels and hit the waveform. We're going to add a stopwatch about a little bit in, make it negative 60 decibels. Go to here, copy, paste that. Go here, copy, paste that. It should look like this. And now, this is the intro. And that is the intro. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, or if this is broken up into a couple videos, leave a like on each video. I'm Pqnda. Hope this helped people, and I hope I get people to stop asking me to make this tutorial because it's done. So yeah, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
I know the picture of you in my mind is only temporary, and